Thank you. Pleasure to be here. I'm very interested, who in the last month has used a bot? Like you've gone to Facebook Messenger and you've used a bot to do something interesting? Few, very, very few people. Anyone use a bot via SMS? Okay, even fewer. There's a big change that's happening right now, and it's not surprising that so few people have done it. But 20 years ago, the mobile phones, the websites hit, and that gave companies of all sizes the capability of interacting with customers on their website. And then 10 years ago, the mobile app revolution hit, and suddenly you're able to download and install these mobile apps on your phone to interact with companies and brands for sales and for service and for questions that you have. And of course, you're always calling on the phone. That same question, who's called customer service on the telephone in the last month of any variety? Yeah, basically everyone. Anyone have a good experience? Even fewer, yeah. It sucks, doesn't it? Right? So what's happening in the industry right now is there's a big shift that's happening. It's gone from the websites to the mobile apps, and now it's going to go to messaging. And in 2 years' time, everyone in the room will be using bots and messaging to interact with the brands, all the brands. In fact, there was a recent study done by Oracle. They polled the top 1,000 Fortune CIOs. And 80% of them are planning by 2020 to deploy messaging-based solutions for their customers. So your time of calling customer service is coming to a close. With Apple Business Chat and RCS and the other messaging channels and the technologies that are coming to bear, you're going to be able to actually message with the brands that you need to message with to get the service and the sales that you need. And that's what we're doing at Chatbox. So about 89% of you, if I were to ask that same question, who wants to message instead of call? Come on, give me 89%, or otherwise I'm going to be a liar. Yeah, you're right. Almost everyone would prefer to message rather than call, right? And when you do that messaging, what you want is a personalized experience. What you want is for all of that data that you've been sharing over the course of the past 10 years with these companies, right? Via their website, via their mobile app, what you want is for that company to deliver a personalized experience for you. You don't want the same experience that the other guy gets, right? What you want is that company to solve the problem given all the information that they know about you. You don't want to repeat your account number 17 different times on the same phone call. That's just dumb, right? And companies are going to be able to provide these solutions using chatbots and messaging for nearly everyone, and it will be a dramatic change, so much so that I believe that websites have a real chance for some brands of disappearing. For very, very big consumer-facing brands, I think that the website and the apps are basically going to go away, and most of the interactions that you have with the brand will be in these messaging-based solutions. Now, what's it going to take to deliver that? Well, it's going to take really a combination of 6 key technologies. And the companies that are going to be building these solutions are going to need to master all 6 of these things in order to provide that very hyper-personalized experience to customers at scale. The first thing they're going to need is omnichannel, right? Maybe you like SMS and maybe you like Facebook Messenger, right? Or maybe you want to use Alexa. But the key thing is these companies are going to want to build the experiences for their customers one time and then be able to deploy them on any of the channels that happen to come along or that the customer needs, right? If you're a Twitter user, maybe you want to just use Twitter, right? But the key thing is to be omnichannel. Build once and deploy to any channel. The next thing you're going to need is an automation source, and the guys at Google Cloud will tell you that Dialogflow is really good. I will not say anything good about Google because they poached my best employee about a month ago. Boo. How about a big boo for Google? Boo. Okay, no, I'm kidding. You did, though. Anyway, you're going to use Google I just had to do that. It still pisses me off. You're going to use Google Dialogflow, which is actually an excellent NLP engine. You're going to use Amazon Lex, you're going to use Microsoft Lewis, you're going to use one of those big bot engines to provide scale. And the natural language processing is really good now, and it's getting better every day. It's going to be really good at determining what you want to do. That's called intent discovery. It's going to be very great at you saying, I need to book an appointment tomorrow, right? But what it's not going to be good at is, I think, the third key technology, and that is the collection and exchange of structured data. Natural language, and I think this is really my key insight at Chatbox, or our team's key insight at Chatbox, is that natural language processing sucks at the collection of structured data, right? So if I say I want to book an appointment next week, I don't want the bot to say, well, what time do you want to book, and what service do you want to book, and like ask me 17 different questions. That's a very poor user experience, and not only is it a poor user experience, but the bot is going to get a lot of those questions wrong. And this is where my poker training came in. I was a professional poker player for 10 years. I won 2 World Poker Tour championships and hosted a bunch of TV shows that some of you may have seen. Anyone ever watch Celebrity Poker Showdown? A few? Okay, I was a host of that show. You may not. Yeah, there you go. Here's what happens. In a poker tournament, if I get all my money in and I'm going to win the hand 80% of the time, that's really good, right? And then the very next hand, I'm going to get all my money in again, and I'm going to win 80% of the time. But the chances of me winning both of those hands is the combined probability of winning both is like 64%. And the same thing happens in natural language processing. If a bot has to ask, what time would you like your appointment? And it is only going to get 80% of the answers that you give to that question right. And then it has to follow up and says, what service do you want performed? And it's only going to be able to interpret that 80% of the time. The chances of it getting both of those questions right is only 64%. And this is why only a handful of people in the audience have used a bot that actually does anything useful, right? Bots and natural language are not good at the collection of structured data. What you need is the bot to do intent discovery, figure out what you want, and then deliver that app-like experience to your phone that's a personalized experience that captures the data that you need or gives you the information that you need, and then take that information and send it back to the bot. That's the real key to making all this stuff work, and that's what's going to make these bots super, super helpful in the coming years. You're also going to need to take that data that you collect and sync it to your backend data sources and your CRMs and your APIs. That should be obvious. And inevitably, there will be an opportunity for humans to take over the conversation. There's always going to be that need. There's going to be a need for humans to inspect the conversation and take over. That's escalation. Boop, 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 boop. Okay? Once you've escalated, then you're going to need to know how it all works together with an analytics package. And if you can do all 6 of these things really well, you'll be able to deploy these hyper-personalized messaging solutions. And a year from now, 2 years from now, every single person in the room will have used a bot that is tremendously beneficial and kept you from calling customer service. I promise it's coming. If you'd like to learn more, come and find us at Chatbox. Thank you. Yes? I'm sorry? So you don't want to be how do you make it HIPAA compliant, right? So this is part of the problem with some of the messaging channels like Facebook Messenger is scraping every single message that you type back and forth. What happens if you need to provide structured data, you're actually going behind the firewall, outside of Facebook's purview to provide that information in a completely secure, encrypted environment. All of that is completely HIPAA compliant and solves the problem of Facebook scraping the data. You can say, I've got a problem, I need to speak to a doctor, or what happens with, can you take a look at a photo, I need a diagnosis. You can say all that and be perfectly HIPAA compliant, but if you were to actually provide that photo inside of Facebook Messenger, that's when you have a problem. And the weaving of unstructured conversation and into these structured data capture experiences makes it HIPAA compliant. Yes?
So you think that you start with some kind
Yes. Sort of. It's back and forth, right? So it's intent discovery via natural language into a web-like experience, but it's not the full-on website or mobile app kind of thing. You need to think about it like decomposing the customer experience into just the little bite-sized bits and pieces that you need to solve that particular problem, and then back into messaging again. Yeah. Yeah, so Chatbox does not do the natural language processing. We work with all the natural language processing engines on the market, including Google Dialogflow and Amazon Lex. Like, leave that crazy hard stuff to the people with crazy lots of money. But the hooking up that natural language into the rest of the things that you need to do is a very hard thing for companies to do and do well. We're the glue between all the things that companies need to do to deliver these messaging solutions. One of the things they need to do is build a bot on Google Dialogflow or Amazon Lex. We don't do that piece, but we'll take that bot and we'll make it work really, really well. It can be keyword based, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What about, like, I'm assuming that one of the most reasonable things that Chatbox can accomplish, as you said, was that customer service.
Yeah.
Do you have an API that's integrated with
Yeah. With all of them, yeah. Yeah. So one of our biggest customers right now is Travel Leaders. They do $20 billion in corporate travel a year. And for the first time, they built their entire flight notification service on top of our platform. And so if you've booked a ticket with Travel Leaders using their website or text messaging them, for that matter, you'll get a text message that says, hey, your flight's been delayed. And for the first time, you're able to reply and say, hey, I need to change my flight. Like, what options do you have leaving tonight? And they're able to deliver that information inside of the messaging flow, and you can actually rebook using the Chatbox platform without ever having to talk to a live agent. You can do it all through the bot and all through these 6 technologies that we've helped them weave together. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So the natural language processing engines all work. I think Microsoft Lewis works in 42 different languages, Google Dialogflow in about 20, somewhere around that. But yes, it'll work in all the major languages. Yeah.
One
yes,
more
sir.
question.
Okay, one more, yeah.
Invariably, when I'm engaging with such a system on the phone to a person, more than half the time I need to escalate.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the part of the agent tool, right? So escalation into a human. The key thing about escalation is that the human needs not only access to the conversational history, but they also need access to the structured data that you've provided, all within the context of the conversation, right? Because really, rebooking a flight isn't just saying I want to rebook a flight. It's all the different information that you've provided alongside of all the structured information that the agent will need when they take over that conversation.
Sorry, just a
Yeah.
question on that one. How GDPR ready are you?
Totally ready.
I want all that back again.
Yeah, totally ready. Yeah, and largely that's on the client side. That's on the customer side for them to be ready, but they can use our APIs to pull down your transcript and any information you provide and provide it back to you. Yeah. Thank you very much.